Hi, this is Majinoni, and here's another edition of Marvel History. We'll talk today about Captain America. This is a trade that just recently came out a couple weeks ago, and well, it's probably more than a couple weeks now, but it's Captain America 332 to 350 and Iron Man 228. Now, what's important about this, you may ask? Well, originally this was written by Mark Grunwald, and this dealt with Captain America being fired. Steve Rogers, I should say, being fired from being Captain America. And John Walker was brought in as to be his replacement. Now, if the internet was in existence during the time that this story came out, Marvel would have probably been flamed like you wouldn't believe, considering, if Spider-Man changes his costume, you know how most of you guys overreact. Well, basically something like this was really significant at the time. And it kind of, I guess you can say, it changed the status quo for the Captain America universe, and it also introduced Walker, who later became U.S. agent, and now he's head of the Thunderbolts for the prison. So it introduced a really important character. And it also crisscrossed very briefly with Iron Man with the Armor Wars, and that's where that one issue of Iron Man comes in. Now, overall, this was like a really entertaining read, and it was entertaining on a couple different levels. Normally, when I read older comics, I encounter problems because of the art style and then some of the cheesy corniness of the dialogue and things like that. But for some reason, the corniness just kind of, I accepted this one a lot easier. You had Tony Stark with the perm going, which is always hilarious. And you also you meet John Walker's family, his mom and dad, way back here, and you discover that they're living on the farm, talking like a bunch of farmers. And that's, let's see here. That should be around here somewhere. But anyways, while I'm looking for it, it actually it provided a couple, just seeing them talk like country hicks was pretty funny. And for some strange reason, which, I understand at the time, Marvel, when they used to do their crossovers and stuff like that, all they did was they just throw something in randomly just so this way they can get credit for the crossover. But in this case here, you had a crossover with the Fall of Apocalypse. Oh, I'm sorry, Fall of Mutants. And you had Captain America fighting Famine from the Four Horsemen. Now, I'm going through the pages kind of quickly, but at least this gives you kind of an idea of how the artwork looked. When Steve Rogers was stripped of being Captain America, he was basically given an ultimatum, basically saying, you will do what we tell you to do, because you signed a contract and to become Captain America, and from what we can tell, the contract is still in existence because you didn't die and blah 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 blah, a long list of reasons. And Captain America was like, well, I just established this hotline, so this means people couldn't contact me. My Avengers duty could be stripped because they wanted to send me somewhere to do something I don't really agree with. So he decided basically to step down, and he became a fugitive. Now, John Walker, he's not what I would call a candidate of greatness. He's basically, he was a guy who basically got enhanced, and he got hooked up with a talent scout, I guess you can say, and eventually he caught the eye of the government, and they gave him the position. But the problem with John Walker is he's a little unhinged. He has a temper. And, like, when his parents get killed, he goes after the watchdog people, and he basically just obliterates them. And then he also goes after the people that revealed his true identity, and he pretty much outright murders them. So, like I said, he's not the greatest guy in the world in terms of superhero values. Now, while all of this is going on, Captain America enlists the aid of D-Man, Nomad, Falcon, There's a battle with the Serpent Society. There's Vipers involved. There's betrayal within Serpent Society. They're going after the. Oh, here's the Fall of the Mutants crossover. They're going after the president. Like turning Washington D.C. into a bunch of snake people. So you had a lot of stuff going on with these issues. Unfortunately, you didn't get a lot of fighting between these two because they always appeared to be, in different locations. But they finally do meet at the end, and at the very end, obviously this can't be a spoiler, but obviously Steve Rogers gets his costume back. Now, overall, this was actually, like I said, a really entertaining read. It reads pretty easily. There's a lot of graphic violence. I won't say a lot of, but there is some scenes of graphic violence because you do get, like I said, here's there's the part here where he goes after the people that betrayed him, and he pretty much beats them up pretty well, and ties them up, and puts them near the gas tank thing and blows them up. So, there's scenes like that, and when he goes after the Watchdog people, he really tears them a new one. Oh yeah, and you also do get the Freedom Force, who was the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants who turned good. Good in quotation marks, for the government, to do government work. So there's actually a lot of stuff in here. Scourge is also in here too. There's an evil villain who likes to smoke a cigarette and have an evil grin while doing so. Classic Captain America villain is also in here, pulling some strings. And actually, if you really think about that villain's involvement in this issue, or these series of issues, he kind of does the same thing during the Avengers Red Mist storyline. So I thought that was like I don't know if that was an intentional thing or accidental, but regardless, I thought it was like an interesting way of connecting the stories together. Overall, though, like I said, this was a very entertaining read. I know Captain America is kind of dry at times, but this was during, I guess you can say, a golden age of Cap, where he was fighting supervillains. It was a little corny at times, but it wasn't as serious as what it is now. And also, I guess you can almost say this was the beginning of Steve Rogers and Diamondback's relationship. Now, it's not like they actually go on a date or anything right now, but what happens is when they meet. And, Diamondback's looking at Cap going, I kind of like that. But then she looks at Nomad and says, now this one I think might be more fun. So, I think, there's a lot of history that takes place within this trade. So I definitely highly recommend it. I think it's a good. It's not. This isn't one of those that's a mandatory to have on your shelf, but I think it's important enough within the history of Marvel to definitely consider it. If you have any comments or questions, just let me know. Rate the video up or down. Let me know what you think, and I'll put up more reviews later when I can. New comic day is Wednesday, so we'll have new books then. And until next time.